Righto, excited for this one. BackChat, powered by Fleet Network for the 2023 season. Very happy to have them on board.
Beep, beep.
This man right here, he's just played a game over here, so very generous with his time. Tommy Mitchell, welcome.
Thanks, boys. Good to be on the BackChat pod. I've been a big fan from afar and good to get into Scully's garage and get to work.
Yes, that's very good. Now, we've just seen you sit down and do an interview with the Dacos boys, so we'll get to that. We'll talk about that. But the first question we ask every guest on the BackChat podcast, we know you've won the Brownlow medal. I mean, you can't do much better on the field.
How many other Brownlow medalists have we had here?
I don't know. Was that Shane Wood?
Yep.
Matty Pritis? Have you
No, I haven't had Pritis. He's been sliding out of the DMs.
So you're the second.
So he's done the Brownlow medal, Lee Matthews trophy. He's won Best and Fairest, Rising Star nominee.
He's been on the front of calendars.
Yeah, he's played for 3 clubs. We know what he's done. We know what you've done, right? And we just want to say for the moment, we don't care. We want to know your greatest sporting achievement, not on the footy field.
Okay.
So Dan's actually left his cricket trophy off to the side over here.
I was trying to get it hidden in a little thing for the Dacos pod.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Have you?
I have, yeah. No, I've heard. Because I reckon I've heard you tell this story.
I think I was telling you when we were in Amsterdam one time.
Yeah.
5 for 16 in a grand final. They lost. That was Dan's. I was a state under-9s hurdling champion, so don't feel like you have to impress us too much, although those two things are very impressive. Yeah. What do you got for us? Your greatest sporting achievement, not on the football field.
All right. I feel like it's going to be from the junior days. I'm just taking my mind back. So I do have a cricket one. So I used to bowl leg spin, absolute pies.
Wow.
Yeah,
shocking. Similar.
I remember I was a Carey Grammar boy. My first game for Carey, we were playing Melbourne Grammar. I went 3 overs, 0 for 38, I think it was. Absolutely tonked out of the park.
That's not a greatest sporting achievement.
No, it's not. So
just a quick saying though, shit gets wickets.
It does.
Shit
well,
wickets.
I'm getting to that. So worked on the leggies for, that would have been in year 7, I reckon. Worked on the leggies for a couple of years, and year 9 I played in a rep team. It was called, the team was ECA, so Eastern Cricket Association. I'm just guessing there. But I similar to you, I got a 5 for.
Oh, wow.
I still got tonked. It might have been like a 5 for 40, but hey, shit gets wickets, like you said. So I still remember getting a 5 for in a rep game.
5 is impressive.
I'm not that impressed, but I just imagine Tommy in the living room just spinning them up, just like, I've got to work on the spin. You're a footballer, mate. You're not a cricketer, but well done, 5 for. That's a good effort. The other question we like asking here: cars. What was your first car? Fleet Network looking after us. Here at BackChat.
Novated leasing.
Novated leasing. Awesome. We might have to sort you out with the contact there, actually. But good. First car, can you remember? What was it?
I obviously lived in WA. I did year 10, 11, 12 at Hale. So I still consider myself a Victorian, but lived in WA. And because I come from Melbourne, I was the first kid in the year to get my licence because I was a year older than everyone. Yes. So I got a lovely Mazda 2. Which was
tiny.
It was tiny, but
you were the kid. I
was that guy. Yeah, I was that guy with the car.
Macca's drive-through runs.
Everything. Going through Hungry Jacks at 1 a.m. in the morning.
Did you keep a Victorian licence? I had a mate that I got drafted with that had his Victorian licence till he was 23, and he was living in WA.
Really?
Did you do that?
I can't even remember.
You wouldn't have had it when you moved over.
Nah, I wouldn't have had it. No, it would have been my first one. Would have been a WA licence.
What colour was it? Your car?
It was like a dark grey.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so it did the job. Got you from A to B. And now actually my brother still has the car, so it's still still in the family. It's just been passed down.
It's a generational piece of shit. Okay, now let's start there then. Growing up, you said you're a Carey boy, Victorian. We like Victorians here. You grew up in Victoria. Your old man, footy player, Barry Mitchell. What's that like growing up? Do you grow up a footy family?
Yeah, big time. So Dad played 200 AFL games, and all I ever knew as a kid was footy, because as soon as Dad finished playing, he went into coaching. Well, prior to that, he was the fitness coach at Carlton, so that would have been early 2000s, into an assistant coaching role under Wayne Britton, and then from then onwards had roles at Hawthorn, Freo. That was the reason we moved over here. So my earliest memories of being in the Carlton change rooms when I was about 5 years old. Cooter was my favourite player. Yes. Dad and Cooter were good mates, so I had the 43 in my back. And I used to be around all the Carlton footballers, literally from when I was a little kid, and I thought that was normal, but looking back now, it wasn't normal. And had a very privileged upbringing in that regard, and I have loved footy ever since I was a kid.
So do you have memories? Were you born when he was playing at Sydney?
No, I don't remember him playing at all, but he finished his career as a Carlton player. So that would have been 94, 95, 96. I would have been 3 years old. So I don't remember, but I reckon from about 5 onwards, I remember being in the locker room.
Yes.
There's Favola walking around, Lance Whitnell, all these type of guys. And that was just a cool thing to be a part of.
So he's a 3-club player: Sydney, Collingwood, Carlton.
Yep.
Do you think about that at all?
There's some similarities. There's some similarities, isn't there? It's funny how we've sort of gone on similar journeys with our footy. Hopefully there's not a 4th club for me. I'm pretty happy at Collingwood. So, but yeah, we've had a similar journey.
So I just wonder the dynamic, because not many kids playing. There's father-son, running around, obviously, but not many have that, the father to look up to. Like, is that the relationship with you have your old man, watching what he did, you wanted to be like him?
Definitely. He wore the number 10, and I used to wear the number 10 on my Carlton jumper. Every birthday, sound like a little sport brat here, but my grandparents, so Dad's parents, would make me a Carlton banner, and I'd run through that for, say, my 3rd, 4th, 5th birthday through the crepe paper. We'll get you some photos if you like.
That's amazing.
I thought I always wanted to play for Carlton. I loved Carlton. Went to every game. I'd cry when they lost. I remember there was a game, Ben Dixon kicked a goal after the siren, playing for Hawthorn against Carlton. I remember crying after that game.
I think you did, yeah.
Yeah. But I've got because I was so entrenched in footy, with players' numbers from that era, I know every player. I just loved footy, and that probably not to that level now, but I've always loved footy.
So as you said, you grew up in Victoria, APS at Carey, alumni down, Geelong College, APS. But you moved here as a 15-year-old. Your old man gets the job at Freo, assistant coach 2008. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
What's that like? That's pretty late to be moving schools, 15-year-old. What's that time like?
Yeah, it was a tough age because everyone's sort of got their friendship circles, and in a weird way, I think it was one of the best things for my footy, because under 15s, they call it the schoolboys Vic team. I missed out on that and I was shattered. But then I came over to WA. I was turning 16 that year and didn't know anyone. I knew Ben Danaher. So Neil got a job at West Coast. So we didn't know each other in Melbourne, but we became mates. But I just got stuck into my training and my footy, and I'd occasionally go down to Freo and do some sessions there. And that was sort of my breakout year. Went to the National Carnival that year and won the award for whatever that is, the Player of the Carnival. And that was sort of...
have that off the list.
Hey? Yeah, add that one on. But that was sort of, I don't know, through not having a lot of mates when I first got here, because I didn't know anyone, and putting a lot of energy in my footy, it kind of paid off in some other ways. So I was kind of grateful looking back for the move to Perth.
Did you win a couple of cups with Hale? Is that right?
I think we won 2.
Wow.
Huge.
2 or 3.
Who was your coach then? Remember?
I do. Paul Pios.
Paul Pios?
Yeah. Former Eagles player.
That's very good.
Yeah.
So you reckon that time really helped develop your footy? You get picked up in 2012 as father-son, pick 21, which is early for a father-son pick. They have to match it for someone else.
Yeah, I think the rules have changed since then. Right. But yeah, it was funny how quickly that all came about, because after that National Carnival, Sydney came to me with an offer, and I was only 16 at the time, but they said, we can commit to doing something now, and you can get you over and doing some training, some pre-seasons. And it was the same year actually that the Giants were coming into the league. So I was also chatting with them, and they were saying, if you nominate for the draft, we'll take you as well. So I was in a very unique situation due to the father-son rule, where I had some decisions to make slightly earlier than most kids, which was a good problem to have. And I felt so grateful and so lucky to be in that position. I probably knew my fate, a couple of years prior to the draft, and ended up deciding to go to the Swans.
Why?
I remember did a trip to Sydney. I went to both clubs. There was one night I went to the Swans facility. There was Jared McVeigh, Jude Bolton. And anyway, we did a tour of the club, and it was pretty surreal. I don't know how this came about, but we walked onto the oval of the SCG. The lights came on, they played a highlights video, and then they were like...
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was cool.
16, how old are you this stage?
I reckon 16, 17. But they were like, how you could be a part of this with 40,000 fans at the SCG. And I'm like, sign me up.
That's huge.
And
that sounds like NBA, when they have
the
free agents, the whining and dining, they bring them in.
It was pretty cool. I remember the next pre-season as well. I'd come back from school to Sydney and just do some trips, and I moved in with Goodsy for a little bit, which was awesome learning experience. Moved in with Paul Riz and his family, who've been great to me across my journey as well. And yeah, I guess from the Giants side, it was hard to see what the club was going to be. We went to Breakfast Point, where all the younger players sort of set up to live. We went to the stadium, but it was being built, so it was just kind of hard to visualise how the club was going to turn out. They've turned out to be a great club, and I would have had a lot of mates from my draft year who would have been there. So not sure if I, would have had a great time. I'm sure I would have had a great time there going to the Giants, but ended up going with Sydney.
Did your dad have much sort of, like, did you rely on him to help you make the decision, or was he sort of like, letting you make that your own call?
Left it all up to me. He said, this is your decision. He stayed right out of it. It was just a unique situation, having to make a decision at a young age, and it was a big decision, and he sort of stayed out, but there was a deadline that I had to make the call either way to let them know, to give them the courtesy to, make their plans moving forward. So it all happened really fast.
So that was 2012. Your first year was 2012. Sydney won the flag that year,
yeah,
which I'm sure you know.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
Sorry, but you couldn't crack in. So what's into that side? So what's that year like? Do you look back at it fondly as a missed opportunity? What are your reflections on the first year at that footy club?
Well, I think I was injured the whole year. I had knee tendonitis. I think I played, I'm only guessing, maybe five games of the year. So I was probably never healthy or fit enough to get a clean run at it. I remember having a meeting with the coach that year saying, just be ready. You never know in case we might need you. But my body wasn't up to it. It was still really cool to be a part of, but, when they say, everyone's a part of it, you don't really feel a part of it unless you're in the playing team. You would know that, having teammates who have missed out, you'd love to have everyone playing. But to see the boys so happy and to be out on the ground still when the confetti's flying around, as an 18-year-old kid, it was still really cool. But having said that, would have loved to be out there.
I know hindsight's always 2020, but you look back on that year, and if you take yourself back to the 18-year-old kid, are you thinking, well, I'm just going to get myself back here, and this will happen every year type attitude? Well, this happened now, this is going to happen again.
I feel like every player has twists and turns and challenges in their career. 2014, I got dropped after round 23. To that point, that was my best game in my career, and I was so excited to go into a final series. Didn't get picked. The team went on to play in a grand final. I was like, there's another missed chance to play in the granny. They lost, but I thought I should have been playing. Then you get to 2016. I was a consistent player, playing every week by then, but you lose a granny, and I think it makes you hungry. I think my footy from that point on, when I left to Sydney, got to Hawthorn, Clarko was amazing for me, and I think that hunger and drive from missing out and having that hardship, along the way, sort of spurs you on to, there's two ways you can either make you go, one way, or it can drive you to want to be better. And Clarko gave me an amazing opportunity to come to Hawthorn and really help me take my game to a new level. And then, hopefully there are some more finals on the horizon this year.
Unfortunately, I know what the conversation goes like, but what is that conversation when you're getting dropped before a final series like? What's that conversation like?
It was a very brief conversation. I remember walking down to the hallway to the team meeting room, and I was, maybe I was oblivious, but I was almost adamant I was playing. So I didn't even think. We were actually chatting with the Dacos boys about it at dinner, because Josh had some similar experience, and it was just a tap on the shoulder before walking into the meeting. We're not playing this week. That was all it was.
What happened in your brain?
That's what happened. But I was emergency, so I still got told, we need you at the ground, we need you to be prepared to play. So I did that, and I was the emergency for that final, the prelim, and the granny. So I sort of was still right on the cusp. There was no injuries, but I missed out.
So that year you had 64 and 4 in a game in the NAFL. It's a decent game.
Well, it was a tough
64.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
You're getting fed up.
It was a frustrating year. It was, because I almost felt helpless, because I was like, there's nothing I can do at the moment.
You can't play any better than that.
It was a streak of games where I was playing some really good footy, but the senior team was winning. They had a strong midfield. but I just couldn't quite get in. I got in later in the year. I think I played the last 2 games of 2014 and played well. So I was hopeful and confident going into the finals, but it didn't go my way.
Did you say before that game that you got dropped? You said that's still your best game of footy you've ever played?
To that point in time, it was.
Right. I was going to say you've had some decent games post that.
So when you get 64 and 4 in the AFL, what are the conversations like with the coaching at Sydney? Are they like just keep doing it?
Take me back. This is 10 years ago.
I know, but usually you pick up, you go, all right, he's in the squad next game.
Yeah. Yeah, you're testing my memory. I think I'll have a think. I just remember the senior team was going well, and they were winning, so you can understand that. Yeah. Maybe they just wanted to stick with the same team, and on reflection, I can look back and understand that. At the time, it's frustrating because you're just so eager, especially as a young guy. You just want to get in and play, and you're working so hard and doing everything you can. It's just not going your way. But I'm not the only person that's ever happened to. It's every single player I think you ever speak to has some form of hardship along the journey, whether it be getting dropped or missing out on opportunity. But I think it's what makes you stronger. Like anything in life, it can help shape you, and I think it's all part of it. Every single player would have a similar story.
Is it additional pressure in your mind, the father-son element?
No, I don't think so. Maybe early days, but I think once I started playing regularly, it doesn't cross my mind really.
No, I would say the same thing as a teammate of father-son guys. You rock up, it's like, father-son, and then about 5 seconds later, it's like, okay, let's get it.
I wonder if it is different though if your dad's like an all-time legend, say like a Gary Ablett or a Peter Dacos. I don't know. Maybe it is different.
So, yeah, maybe.
Ablett seemed to do okay with it.
Yeah, he actually did very well with it.
Yeah. Dacos boys are going all right too.
Yeah, true.
What about some coaches and stuff you played with and played under at Sydney? So, Ruse mentioned. Longmire. I know you didn't play under him, but you had a bit to do with him, but you played under Longmire. Yep. You've played, like your 3 clubs you've played with, Sydney, Hawthorn and Collingwood, right up there with the biggest clubs in the land. West Coast probably number 4, so if you do want to come to the 4th, sort some things out of West Coast. But what's playing under John Longmire like? What's he like as a coach?
Yeah, Horse obviously, he's had great success as a coach, and I think, playing in that successful period throughout North Melbourne, I think there was, a lot of things from that period of time that were probably drilled into the way the Swans were run as a club, and it was all based around working really hard, being really disciplined, being united as a team, and that was a great club to be a part of, the Swans, because there were so many good, experienced players to learn from. I remember my first day walking into the club. Brett Kirk was the first guy that came up to me and said, "G'day." Craig Bolton, he was a great player. Yeah. He'd sometimes pick me up, take me to training. Jude Bolton was one of my favourites, still is. He was just a genuine guy, would look after all the young guys, Reece Shaw, Adam Goods. Like there's Nick Malcheski, Nick Smith. There's so many names that I look back on and absolutely loved my time at the Swans, because these guys had been there and achieved so much in the game, and you're like a sponge when you're that age and you look up to these guys. You've been watching them on TV for years. So, in that regard, I feel like going to Sydney was a good decision, because, being able to learn from these guys who were all superstars was pretty awesome.
Does the Bloods culture, is that real? People who haven't been inside those 4 walls hear the Bloods culture. Is that a thing? Is that something that's spoken about as a Sydney player?
Trying to remember. I think every club has like a mantra or a trademark or something they want to identify as, and the Swans had something they wanted to identify as, and that was around that hard-nosed brand of footy and the way you conduct yourself off the field. So I think they've been pretty good at doing that over their journey, and I think it's not uncommon though for every team to have something, a set of rules or standards to try and live by. So I guess that has a title, but I think every club does similar things.
I'm trying to get you up to the present tense so we can get that memory sorted out. But Sydney,
should have done some planning before coming in.
Some thinking about your life. Now, Sydney, Sydney trade you to Hawthorn.
Yeah.
You remember that time? Can you remember motivations around it? How does that go down? Discussions, happy, sad?
I was keen to seek more opportunity, basically. Like I was playing, but still I was I was always the mid coming off the bench or playing low time, or just sort of, there was Josh Kennedy and Dan Hanbury, and these guys were up and about in the peak of their powers flying. So I just wanted to go somewhere where I could get a really good run at it. And, coming back to Melbourne, that was another factor, coming back home, which I always wanted to do at some point. And then also going to a club like Hawthorn, who had just come off a period of sustained success. So it felt like the stars were aligning and it was the perfect fit. I spoke to a few other clubs, but Hawthorn was always where I wanted to go.
I've missed one from your time at Sydney. Your tooth?
My tooth, yeah.
Did you knock your tooth out in the field and then pick it up yourself and just jog it off? Isn't that what happened?
I don't know if that's true, no. I think I got it knocked out at training. I've actually got a fake tooth, so...
Looks good.
I thought I saw footage of somewhere that you got smacked in the mouth, tooth came out. I swear I saw you picking it up.
I don't think that was me. But there is a photo of me from training, which my housemate, Harry Cunningham, took of me at the footy club after I got my tooth knocked out at training. Looked like a bit of a hillbilly, so that sort of got passed around the footy club. What's
that like walking into Hawthorn then, as you said? You've come in, so end of 16, so they've won 3 flags, some of them 4-time premiership players. Is it, are you walking into success?
Well, 2017, we didn't make finals. 2018, we finished top 4. So I guess, there was... so our first year was the year Jager and I joined the club. There was Ty Vickery, there was a few other players, Ricky Henderson, a few other guys. So it was a completely new mix, new team. And we were all adapting and learning, coming from different systems and styles. And, Clarko was an amazing guy, amazing coach. And, we I don't know what our record was that year. I think we were on the cusp of finals. We didn't make it, but it was definitely the right move to go to Hawthorn. It was such a great club. Loved my time at Hawthorn. And then the next year we got going and we had some really strong performances. And, I think we finished 4th that year. We still had some great experience in the team. We had Shawnee Burgoyne, Ruffy, Isaac Smith. Hodgie only played in 2017, then he finished up, went to Brisbane. But we had some good experience and some good youth as well.
I've played in some stacked teams.
Yeah. Played with some pretty special players. Cyril, he was there in 2017. Obviously played with Bart up in Sydney, so I've been pretty blessed to play with some of the icons of the game.
2017, you were runner-up in the Brownlow your first year at Hawthorn, and then 2018 you win it. What's that period like? I mean, you're at your peak of your powers. I'm not saying you can't do it again, but 2017, 2018, some good years of footy.
Yeah, they were probably, 2 of my better years. I guess just I've touched on Clarko a few times, but he really backed me in. I think he gave me so much confidence, which I'd never had that before. And he, gave me some guidelines and parameters and some things to focus on in my game. And I don't know, was playing with so much confidence throughout that time. 2018 was definitely my best year of footy. And that was on the back of, I guess, being a part of that system for a year, understanding the way all the boys played, the way the club operated, and just having that confidence to go out and perform. And it helps having a lot of good players in your team as well, which we had a strong team. So, you always got to pay credit to your teammates. We had some, really good players who'd played in premierships and played in big games. And I think having that experience to guide you as well does help play well. Okay, well, your teammates were important, but you had 50 twice that year. You had 54, the most ever. Again, yes, your teammates. So I'll let you say that, but I'm going to say you had a pretty good year as well. Given you a 2017 runner-up, you're coming into that year and the year that you had, what's it like Brownlow night 2018, assuming you came in as favourite? Did you write a speech? I think I was the favourite. I'm not sure who else was in contention. I think Dusty was up there. I think Max Gorn was up there. I had some just some dot points just in case. It's not really something you can think about or educate yourself on or practice for. No, you can't recite, and probably when you get up there, you just butcher it anyway. So I had some dot points. I remember it was a good speech. I think I did all right. I shouted out barbecue shapes in my speech and I got 300 boxes delivered to my house the next week. Wow. I had to give them away because I was getting too fat in the off season. But I remember when so you know how you would have been to a Brownlow, I assume, but you can't. Yeah. I was a fullback, I remember that. That's all right. You can't walk around when they're doing the count. So there's a certain rounds where you can go out of the room, go to the toilet or get some fresh air if you want to. And I remember I went out because I was getting a bit nervous, getting tight towards the end. I was in contention and I went out and then I couldn't get back into the room, and it got to like the last round. And I remember going to the lady, I'm like, oh, I think I need to get back inside. She's like, no, you can't. And then someone else, the security camera was like, nah, he needs to, like, he's about to win it. He needs to get back in there. She's like, well, I've been told that no one can go back in. So I'm thinking, oh God, this is embarrassing. It got like to the last round, and then they ended up getting me through to the chair because they need you in the chair for when they're doing the last round when they got the cameras on you. So I luckily got there.
Shout out to the lady doing her job to the nth degree. I mean, you got to respect the fact that she's not letting them on.
Held her nerve.
Did you ever ask Clarko about falling asleep in your speech?
Yeah, I've spoken to him about it. It's good footage. He wasn't asleep. He was unlucky because, so where I'm sitting now, they put him in the worst spot in the whole venue. So the stage is there behind this wall, pretend.
Right.
And his back is facing, like he's in the worst bit possible. So he's in the back pocket, or the forward pocket, And so I think he's sort of leaning like this, trying to listen. But it does look like he's asleep. It's got brought up plenty of times, but he wasn't asleep. He came over and I still remember what he said. He whispered, he grabbed me, he said, mate, well done, we're so proud of you. Make sure, you thank both clubs and, thank all these people, and just how, I just gave me some points to follow, which he'd always done for my time there. So really
just throwing your prep out the water with
a few more dot points on the end of it. So no, he was great.
What's your family's reaction to that? What's that mean to them when you win the Brownlow?
Yeah, it's not something that you go out and set out and try to do. It's just one of those things that it happened, and it's pretty cool to be able to share that night with your family and friends. I remember, so you go into this room after where all the media are, and I've never had to do that much media or seen that many cameras in a room. There was maybe, 50, 100 cameras, and wow. It's pretty surreal. My family were they got a hotel room at Crown for the night, and we're watching in the room. And then you go out of the media room into like another function space, and I remember walking in and all my teammates are there, all my best mates are there, my whole family was there. I was like, this is not happening, this is crazy. And you're sort of the centre of attention for the night, and then you go to the after party and you go there, and it was an awesome night.
Did you have a couple of beers?
Had a couple, yeah. I didn't do what Cripper did this year. Paddy Cripps, we had a big night. We were in his room till about 5. I took charge of ordering all the beers and the food on his account, and he would have got like half an hour's sleep before doing the media. I reckon I got a few hours, but I was still a little bit dusty in the morning.
So I saw Paddy Cripps. So you were in his room where you're the reason he didn't get any sleep before.
Pretty much, yeah. There was 5 of us in there. It was his manager, myself, his girlfriend, his dad. His dad fell asleep on the couch, and we put some hot chips on his face, and he slept like that.
Classic prank.
Yeah, it was good. That was a good night. It was great seeing a good mate win it. I was pretty wrapped for him.
How have you guys? How you seem to be sort of connected to quite a few AFL players? Is it because you've played at so many?
Probably, yeah.
I don't know. It seems like you've got relationships with guys from other clubs and quite close.
Yeah. Well, growing up in Melbourne, moving to Perth, moving to Sydney, moving back to Melbourne. Like, I've done a lap of the country, so probably got to know a lot of the guys. Cripper and Lockie Neal are probably 2 from other clubs that I'm quite close with. Hence the ball magnet stuff we're doing together. I think they're
get into that.
They're WA connections. It's just a part of the footy journey. I'm sure you'd have some players you've met from other clubs who you're pretty close with now.
Yeah, as well. That's a good point. I've seen a little bit of footage floating around recently, and you're saying that you can't remember this, can't remember that, but you've got a memory, don't you?
Yeah, certain things, very good. So not so good.
So AFL player number recall.
Yeah, that's my go. Yeah,
talk me through that.
Well, I think it was just being around footy when I was a kid, loving footy. There's home videos on. Mum's got them converted onto a computer now, where her and Dad are showing me footy cards of players, and I'm about 2, and I'm going Jason Dunstall, and like I'd throw a little saying on the end of them, so it might be like Jason Dunstall, one of the toughest players. Like, must be things I've heard from commentary. So there was that part, and then moving to like my middle school era of say year 7 to year 9-ish was me and my mates loved doing fantasy footy. And so at school on the laptop, all we did was sort of, dream team and things like that. And I came 4th in the country because every
You came 4th?
Yeah, I came 4th.
Huge.
I'm a massive fantasy player.
Yeah, so I don't do it anymore, but I think I burnt all my energy through it then. But every class you get the laptop up, you're meant to be working on your assignment. but I'd be doing dream team, doing trades, full research. It was full operation. So then I obviously got to know all the players playing through that era because I was always doing that.
So given your love of AFL fantasy then, because it sounds like you must have known you're a genuine pig in the in the fantasy land. I know you have. There's been a lot of questions.
I've got to know the AFL
media.
fantasy guys, and I've done their potty a couple of times.
Yes.
So yeah, to be elevated to pig status is one of the biggest achievements.
genuine pig, mate. How good.
What did you get for coming fourth?
Nothing.
Nah.
Came second in a weekly prize. Came second in a weekly prize. I think it was $1,000 for.
I've done that too, just so we know.
Have you won that? A weekly prize?
Second. I came second like you.
Yeah. Well, you get nothing for second. So came second in a weekly prize, and then the overall winner wins a car.
Yep.
Didn't win anything. Had nothing to show for it.
Now back on the AFL number recall. So what does it mean if I throw players at you? What from not any era?
Probably like 2000 onwards.
Just any.
I'm actually worse with current day.
Really?
I don't really know. Like, I'm not very good with like current day, but sort of, maybe, try. I don't know. Have a go.
Dan, you can test him out.
Yeah, okay.
I'm trying to think of players that I know, just rather than like looking them up.
You could say the team and the number, and I'll say the player, or you could do the other way around.
Really?
Yeah.
That is wild, Dan. This is you, mate. You type.
I better get a few right.
What you want me to?
Oh, you're setting up ready to type.
Last week, I thought you were going to ask him. Last week, we were talking about 28 West Coast Eagles. And go, yep. There you go, straight up.
Very good. I'm going
to
start. Let's stay in West Coast land because 18 West Coast Eagles. But
Ryan Jones,
50.
50. No, see, like they have to have played like a
that's
few
in the
games.
90s. Do you know that?
Turnbull.
Yeah, Ryan Turnbull.
Yeah.
Well done. How did you know that?
Who that is.
Nah.
Come on, man. You're a savant.
They have to have played AFL games. You're saying?
Well, like
20
20 plus.
They have to have been
Kind of played like.
Turnbull played a lot.
No, but in the 90s. You said like 2000 onwards.
Sorry. Okay.
Okay.
You played for West Coast,
Just
so you know more.
Player name if you want, or whatever.
Yeah, great. I don't know. It's actually like hard to do. I mean, Quinton Lynch.
21.
Yeah. What did he wear for Collingwood? Ooh.
Yeah. See, that's test.
See, that's hard. I don't know if he played over 20 for Collingwood.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's
21 West Coast, yeah.
Yeah, 21.
Michael Braun.
10.
I mean, he's in West Coast areas now. You need to get him out of West Coast. What did Sean McManus wear?
He wore 8.
Yes, he did. What did Clive Waterhouse wear?
26.
Yes, he did. Well done. Tony Modra at Adelaide?
That's before my time, but I think 6.
Yeah, he did wear 6. Okay, so I need to I'm finding out I'm old, quite old.
Why don't you just
Chris Mayne, Fremantle.
23. Why don't you just say this? Just go say a year, a team, and a number. Just make that up in your head. Random. Just
okay.
2012 West.
He went with West Coast. Any other team?
Sydney. Oh, this
I
is
was there.
that's a gift. Yeah. No, okay, let's go 2008 Sydney 20.
Well done. I know Leo Barrow's 21. Yeah, I've really screwed myself. This is my suggestion too. Luke Ablett he was 20.
What was the number I gave you? 20.
But he might have retired by then. I think you wore 20.
Can't even find a website that shows me.
Are you a footy boots guy too?
Nah, still side bottom. That's his talent.
Jacko Nelson from West Coast Eagles played 100 games.
Yeah.
He could name any player, any year.
Boots.
And would go through their careers like Tom Mitchell, he wore yellow, Nike, fucking blah, blah, blahs. Could do that for literally
impressive.
Anyone, anytime. There's something... That's
nuffy areas.
That's proper tweaking a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. All right. As we can still talk, I just want to look up if Luke Ablett was 20. I think he was.
Well, I think he might have been 2. 2008's decently far. That's a long time ago. I just find it interesting that your memories
It is. You've done it.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. I feel like that's...
Yeah.
I feel like you and I have butchered this and Tom Mitchell has not. Number 20, Luke Ablett, 2008. Well done. I feel like that proves a point.
Yeah.
No one knew that apart from Google. Let's come back to the career. So you win the Brownlow. Do you get to... Is there like a club? Is there like a special club? People who won the Brownlow? Do you get... Yeah.
No.
Who handed it to you, the Brownlow? Oh, Dusty.
Dusty did, yeah. That was cool.
That's elite.
Yeah. Nah, nothing like that. But I'm not huge on memorabilia. Get given a heap of memorabilia for your for yourself, but like I think it'd be weird if you had like a shrine of yourself through your house. But the one I have kept is I've got this big frame, and every Brownlow medalist that's obviously won a Brownlow has signed it, and it's a jumper with a Brownlow emblem on it, and it's got, you know, your Jard, Ablett, all these guys, Simon
good.
Black, all my favourite players going up all on this jumper together, and mine's on there too. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
That's great.
I've got some memorabilia for you.
Hey, what's this? That is funny. I've heard about this.
This is the Hawthorn 2023 calendar that
So
you're
3
on.
of the 4 on it. That's funny.
3 of the 4 on
Give
there.
the camera a look. Yeah, this one here. So Ben McAvoy retired.
Yeah.
Jago Mira got traded to Freo.
Yeah.
You got traded to Collingwood. And James
Gunson's
Warple.
on the back too.
Is that Warple on the front?
Yeah.
So he's the only man remaining.
They wouldn't have sold too many of them, I reckon.
Well, we bought one.
Someone bought it as a present purely because it was
That's
funny.
kind of funny, yeah.
There you go.
You broke your leg start of the 2019 preseason or somewhere there. So after winning the Brownlow, coming into, you'd assume, just prime time. What happened?
That was tough. I remember 2018 had a good year. The team had a good year. Going away, having some time off. I think I went to Europe, probably went to Amsterdam again. Didn't run into you blokes that time. But I remember how fit I was going into 2018. I was like, I just want to feel like that again. And Andrew Russell was the high performance coach at the time and did a great job. He's a good friend of mine. And I remember going into 2019, I was like, I was fitter, I was stronger. I felt like I was going to be better. And it was the first session back after Christmas, the first training drill. We were doing a short-sided handball game. I've got the footage on my phone. I can probably show you after. I don't know why I've got it on there, but I do. But I went to tackle onto someone. My leg was sort of swinging in the air, and another player was coming. Tim O'Brien was coming another direction. His leg was planted, and my leg sort of just wrapped around his leg. So it was a tib-fib snap. And I remember looking down. You'll be able to see it in the footage, but looking down, my leg was in half. My foot was facing the other way.
Oh.
And I was just thinking, the first 30 seconds didn't hurt, and then because I was thinking I was in shock, but you can see the footage of everyone who was right near the incident just runs off because it was pretty gruesome, it was pretty bad. And I remember the physio and the doctor, the first thing the physio said, he gets there and he goes, oh shit. And I'm like, as soon as he said that, then I started panicking a bit. He had to traction my leg until the ambulance got there. The paramedic actually, he was on his first day. I remember the paramedic got there.
Oh.
And so he was shaking to put the morphine or whatever it was in me, and he kept missing me. And so I just said, I need the experienced doctor to do this. I'm in a lot of pain here. A few grain whistles and off to hospital straight after. Tough day.
Yeah, bloody oath. And, obviously all that comes with that from a performance element as well, right? Like you're the leader of the team, you're the best player in the team, best player in the competition, and 2019 gone like that. How difficult is that mentally?
I didn't deal with it great.
Yeah.
The first few months in particular, I was just in so much pain. I remember every time I'd get up, because you have to keep your leg elevated, I had to inject myself with this stuff every night to thin my blood so your leg doesn't clot. And I just remember being in agony every time I'd stand up because there was so much metal in there. My leg would swell and expand, really painful. And the club were great. They actually gave me some time away throughout the year because it was a long rehab ahead. So I remember I went to Fiji for a week, and then they actually let me go to Europe for summer, that was
Good.
one of the benefits. Got to do European summer.
It's half your life living in
Well,
Europe.
it sounds like it. Not really. I reckon I've been twice. But even 6 months into my rehab and I'm limping, walking, in pain walking, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get back here. It's like you have those thoughts and the medical team assure you, you'll get back. But then you're like, well, am I ever going to be what I was? All those thoughts cross your mind. So that was a tough 12, 18 months, to get through.
Was that one, the am I ever going to get back to my best? Or, is there spending periods thinking, I'm not going to play again here?
Yeah, for sure.
It's crazy.
I remember the doctor saying when I was on the ground, and I'd probably had a few green whistles, so I probably wasn't asking the right questions anyway. But I was like, oh, how long will I be back in? I can get back I'll get back here this year. He's like, no, get your head around. You're going to be out for a long time. So that was tough. It was tough to deal with. I think since then I've learned a lot about perspective, and one of my good mates, Alex Johnson, he's had there's always someone worse off than you. At the time, you think it's the worst thing in the world, and it did suck at the time, and I did struggle through it. But good. It's given me good perspective on people out there that are have much bigger issues in life. Footy's a game. I think as you get older, you realise it's a game. When you're in your peak and when you're young, you think footy is life. I certainly did. Thought footy was everything. But yeah, it was a tough period to get through. I remember playing 2020 as well. I still didn't feel like I was right. Like at the time, I thought, oh no, I feel pretty good. But looking back to how my leg feels now, I'm like, I was not right. Like I was not playing on one leg, but that leg didn't have much in it. You know what I mean? So,
Are you mentally thinking about it when, like, in the game?
No, never. I did for the start of it. Like every time I'd go for a ground ball, so it was my left leg, I would always lead with my right leg. If I led with my left leg, I used to like put up in the air around congestion because I feel like it must just be my brain playing tricks on me. So in the end, what we were doing, the way we trained it was I'd go into packs and at very low level, we'd have people kick footies into my leg and sort of kick me in the leg almost like a soccer player until I could get my brain to process that I could go in on that side again. So we actually trained that.
That's cool.
From afar, it looks like you maybe like out of the box a little bit. You do extra stuff outside the footy club, seeing across socials, a few different trips and different things you look at, and perhaps based on what you're talking about there, did you have to go outside the box to get yourself back to your best?
Yeah, so I built a really good relationship with a guy named Mark McGrath, who was on the Hawthorn medical team at the time, and I see him religiously every week. I've seen him every week of my career. I don't miss. He's actually gone to Europe for 6 weeks, so I've done so much work with him now that I know what I need to do each week to get my body feeling as good as it can going into every game. But he helped Juddy with his groins. Coming from West Coast to Carlton, Juddy, I think, was going to get surgery. He said, we can get you right without that. Hodgie, when I first got to Hawthorn, was spending so much time with this guy, Mark, and I was like, what's Hodgie doing? I need to look into, if Hodgie's doing it, I need to be doing it. And then I just got entrenched in it. So it's called DNS, Dynamic Neuromuscular Stability. And yeah, that was what I invested so much energy into, and my body's never felt better. Like, I feel great, and I think it's due to that work. I'm not big on weights. Every player's different, trains in different ways. I'm not big on weights. I find I put on too much muscle, get too heavy. It's a running game these days, so I'm all about movement and I'm a ground level player, like being able to get into positions low on the ground, be efficient at ground level. So there's a lot of things I've tweaked and playing with to channel into my specific role.
Like DNS, what is it? Like, what sort of stuff are you doing? You see him weekly. What are you doing?
It's hard to describe, but
like
if you look at it, if you guys
doing bench press,
if you guys looked at it, you would think it's yoga,
right,
or Pilates. That's what you would think.
Putting your body into different positions and holds and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, holds and things, and then certain positions that are footy specific. But the background of it is it's from how a baby moves, and babies are this is a weird topic, but babies are very efficient in the way that they move because they don't have muscles. They use their levers and their body weight distribution to move and to get into certain positions. So there's like the 3 month, 6 month, 9 month pose, and like how a baby uses its body most efficiently. And obviously we're manipulated as we grow and get older. You do things like sit at desk and you lose your form of what you're meant to do naturally, and it's all about reprogramming your body to do that again. So I've invested a heap of time into that, and that's what I do each week.
It's pretty interesting. I've never heard any stuff like that before. I wish I'd have maybe known that as a player. I wasn't big into weights either. I just didn't like them. So you're at Hawthorn, clearly, play with some great players there. Any top tier guys, any good stories from people you played with there? Like, what's it like being around that success? Because that's what that is. That culture's success, high performance, right? I'm assuming you would have learned a lot there too.
Yeah. Hawthorn was a great experience. In terms of stories, like, I wish I got to play more footy with Cyril and Hodgie. They were only there in 2017. There was this one game, we were playing West Coast at the G. On the far wing, I was front and centre for a contest. Cyril took a hanger, and it looked like he was flying. Like, he was just like floating through the air. I had the best seat in the house on that. It was pretty sick. Hodgie was just a competitor, like, just tough, but great guy. Like, would look after all the boys and just combative, even at an older age. But if you saw when he gets the fiery eyes, you don't want to be on the other end of that.
If you compare the three clubs, I know you're currently at Collingwood, but what makes a good side? Like what is it that sets a good side apart? Is it talent? Is it the players? Is it the coaches? Is there some things that you can look at and go, well, that's why they were really good? And does it follow clubs across clubs?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of something that's not. I think that's what sometimes gets overshadowed. Like a lot of teams talk about, like, all this is so important, and I don't know which one is in order. But like having a good system, having good coaching, I generally think that if you've got good players, that sounds so basic, but good players are going to win. The more good players you have, you're going to win. I know that sounds like basic level, like obvious, but guys with talent that work hard, I think good players will find a way to win no matter what. They'll just figure it out. So I think the more, does that sound too basic? I feel like it's something that's not overshadowed because everyone wants the new fancy word or term or something. I think generally the big players and the star players, you see it in other sports and other codes as well. It's always those guys that are at the pointy end. It's not a fluke. So I think it's a combination of the best players I've seen, the ones that have the ability but also work bloody hard as well. And then when you've got a lot of those guys playing to a system and playing together and playing united for each other, I think that's a perfect storm. Yeah, very good. Lucky socks, talk to me about them. Lucky socks? Do you still wear lucky socks? No, I never have. Is that you? No, it's not me. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So that's a good chat. Yeah, well done. All right, thanks for coming, man. Yeah, see you, boys. So you traded to Collingwood this year. What's that like? Were you getting traded when we saw you in Europe? No. It might have been. Would have been in the works probably. Yeah. I was in America when the trade went through. Yeah. In terms of Collingwood, I've never been happier or had more fun in my whole footy life. It takes me back to Carey Grammar days playing with your mates on a Saturday morning. I haven't had this much fun ever. I think it helps that we're winning at the moment, but I think the environment that Fly's created, he instills so much confidence in every player on the list, builds everyone up. It's a different approach. Like, we still get messages across, but it's completely gone away from the old school method of sitting blokes out the front and doing these feedback sessions. Which you would have seen. Oh, yeah, I saw all that. And I thought it was over the top. Yeah. Like, it was when you've got 40 blokes sitting around, so you're at the front telling you what you're good at. I've been there, mate. I think there's healthier and better ways to do it. Yeah. And clearly, I think a lot of teams have steered away from that now. But, it's just, I don't know, a very modern way of coaching. And Fly has no ego. He preaches no ego. We're process driven. We have, we try and get better every day. We don't even really look at the result. Like, it's not spoken about. I haven't spoken about the ladder once. But I've just never had this much fun and enjoyment. And it's hard to explain without, I guess, being in there, but I'm just really happy at the moment. You're a senior player in there, effectively, right? I mean, you think that has something to do with it as well, given the experience and the things you've learned over your last two clubs, getting to a club, being a senior player, you'd have some leadership element in there as well, wouldn't you? Yeah, I think as you get older, you naturally take more responsibility and want the responsibility to guide and help players as players that came before you did for you. So there's definitely a part of that, and there's definitely, like a sense of, coming to a new club, you want to take a back seat and learn and figure out how it all works. But then also, I think, as you mentioned, being senior, you have a responsibility to give back and to have an opinion and to try and contribute as well. And then, where you find that balance is sort of up to you. But I think initially, I think it's smart to sort of learn and how the club works and not overstep. But then when the time's right, to help and contribute and do that with the individuals and the whole team. I saw some videos of you at training. I think you were mic'd up and they had sort of ISO'd in on you, and I think you're trying to play a couple of pranks on guys and stitching them up with sort of inside jokes and stuff. Is that like, and you're just new at the club, so you just sort of, is that how you operate with the guys, or was that like a concerted effort to try and sort of get yourself involved? It's probably a reflection of how the club is, to be honest, and how you're just encouraged to be the complete version of you. I reckon as I've got older, I've learn to have more of a laugh and enjoy the ride as well. I think, on the field I'm quite competitive, but at the right times at training and, even staying with the boys when we get some downtime, like I think they'd probably say like a bit of sort of like a jokester, like love having a laugh when off the footy field. So yeah, I probably have a combination of both.
What are you motivated by as a player coming towards the back end of your career? I'm not saying you're retiring anytime soon, but you're older now.
Still got to go to West Coast after this.
Yeah, correct. So you're not an 18-year-old anymore. Yeah. What motivates you now to rock up every day and get better?
It's obvious. Premiership, clearly. But also just having an appreciation and loving what I'm doing at the moment, like loving coming to work. Like you can't take those periods of your life for granted because there's going to be challenges that'll come down the road. Everyone's going to face them, and I'm sure I'll have some that'll come at me in the future. But just really enjoying where I'm at, not wanting it to end. Like I'm just loving footy at the moment. Clearly chasing team success, wanting that, and taking a lot of pride as well in seeing the growth of other players. So the Dacos boys, who obviously were in here before, like I work really closely with them, and they've got a lot of it figured out, but taking a lot of pride in working with them at the club, away from the club, and then seeing them get results game day and doing so well. I'm so proud of that and really happy for them, genuinely happy.
I reckon there's a select group that are starting to really figure it out off the field in the AFL in terms of what they're doing either in media or business. And we've spoken about it a little bit, but ball magnets, been watching that from afar, big fan. Without really understanding too much about it, I'd like to ask you a few questions, but clearly you've identified that there's life after footy, right? This is a life after footy thing, as well as using your platform you have right now to really generate an audience. Do you want to talk about what ball magnets is? How did you start? How did you form the relationships with the guys you're doing it with?
Can we hang out with Josh Giddey at some point?
Yeah, we'll get Giddey in the garage. Yeah.
Yes.
It's been something that we've been working on for, I think just over 2 years now. So I actually came up with the idea through COVID when footy was cancelled, and I was like, I can't waste this time. I need to be doing something. And so at the time I was spending a lot of time at some junior clubs and helping out and doing some coaching and things like that. And when footy training was cancelled for multiple teams, I was still writing some drills and programs for some kids because I'm always doing my touch and some little kicking drills, and the parents loved it. And so I sort of started giving this stuff out. And then one of the parents approached me and said, well, why don't you build a website about this? And I thought, yeah, that's cool. And then the idea of an app came about, and had some people in business who were actually from the local footy teams who had some experience, and we helped form the idea. And I said, okay, well, I'll float the idea by a few of my mates around the league, Cripper and Lockie Neal.
A couple of Brownlow medalists.
Yeah, just
the boys.
And they loved it as well, like, trying to utilise the time and make something. And it's funny how a small idea like that blossoms, obviously with a lot of help, but blossoms into something that we're really proud of. And we've got 30,000 users on the app now who want to learn, I guess, what it takes to get to the elite level and all our little tips and tricks of the trade. But you don't have to be elite. You can be at any level and learn, and all the drills and training we do. We've just released our first push program, so push yourself. So Cripper's program's just been released, which is cool. Josh Giddey's will be next. So to be able to go into other sports as well is really cool. So we've got AFL and basketball. We plan on expanding that further. But yeah, even to get to know Gids quite well and see what he's done with the basketball. The basketball stuff's going to be awesome when it comes out.
How do you go from a time management point of view, given that your primary and as it should be is trying to win a flag, playing footy, getting better. How do you go from a time management point of view, building this sort of stuff while you're playing footy? I don't think there's probably enough appreciation given to footballers that it is actually, there is actually time required to be a footballer.
Yeah.
People think you get paid a lot of money, play on the weekends, how good, get to train with your mates, which is all true.
Yeah.
But as a certain time commitment, how do you go putting time into this given what you got doing with footy?
Yeah, it's tough because we get obviously a day off a week from the footy club to either, you can do what you want with your day off, but I think it's important to invest in something outside of footy and something you're interested in. I reckon there was a period, maybe it was 2020, might have been 2021, where I reckon I went too far and I was probably doing too much outside of footy and almost burning up, and it started affecting my footy and training because I lacked energy and I was burning out a bit. So I reckon I found the balance a bit more. Now I would love to be doing more ball magnets, but like you said, my priority is footy and Collingwood. So yeah, it's just one of those things you have to sort of take a back seat and do what you can when you have the time to do it. But I think the off season and things like that is a good time to bank up some content and some ideas and try and drip feed that through the year. So that's what we've been trying to do.
You get together often, the boys that you're doing it with, you're linking up Skyping, Zooming.
Yeah.
How do you do it, or how do you logistically catch up, given you're in different states?
It's tough. We had Cribber's wedding over New Year's in WA actually, so that was sort of a time we're all together. Not that was a business trip, that was more leisure. But we catch up on just group phone calls. Obviously, we got a text group. Every now and then we'll jump on a Zoom call. Every now and then we'll have a meeting with the Ball Magnets board and the chairman and all of us together. So they're probably less regular, but yeah, we try and we're always chatting. Like every week we're chatting in the text group, and then we probably try and organise a call. I'd say maybe we have a meeting once a week, but that's in Melbourne. Obviously, hard for Lockie to get there, but a call probably once a month, I would say.
So 30,000 on the app at the moment. What's the goal? You got goals in mind, different sports. What's the growth for it?
Yeah, different sports for sure. We want to try and get the best Australian athletes in each category. Josh Kiddie's made not a bad start to his basketball career. He's killing it. But yeah, we just want to. Some new things we're doing as well. We're incorporating some corporate speaking days. So June 15, myself, Cripper, and Josh Kiddie are on a panel talking about what we think's got us to this level. We'll be doing ball magnets clinics. So around the country, getting kids down to interact with us and do some teaching, and then obviously just all the drills and skills that you can get on the app. So
how do they access it? How do you get involved?
Yeah, so obviously the App Store, just Ball Magnets on the App Store. If you'd like to download the app, it's a free app.
Is it?
It is free.
Oh,
so that's really cool. And then the push programs, which I guess are the real 1%ers, the next level up. If you're really taking your sport seriously and want to learn, then it's ballmagnetspush.com.au. And the programs are pretty cheap for what we give. But the more people we get using ball magnets, and I'll have to get you guys some merch, but the better. So we're really proud of what we've done so far and really excited for what's next.
Well, it's been great to watch grow, mate. I've been watching, and I think a lot of people have. It's good to see. Look, AFL guys using that platform. I know, my career, just to be a bit self-indulgent, we'd have people come in and say, you need to be looking after yourself after footy and do this and do that. And look, I never had a great deal of people that I've really connected with from that aspect, but I think what's really great to watch what you're doing, even what Mason Cox is doing in the game right now, that insight and that the ability to use your platform and your audience, which is that's what media is right now, basically, whether it's apps or I just think it's really, really great. You guys are doing a good job. So good job.
Thanks.
Make sure you support the boys.
I've got a question for you. Have you found, obviously being in the game, now being out of the game, is it harder being out of the game with less, less relevance or whatever the word is?
Yeah, I'm irrelevant.
Yeah, no. You got about 25 podcasts, so you're killing it. But you know what I mean? That's why I think it is important, because naturally people are going to, I assume, care more when you're playing. But you've done it. So
two things. So, not that I had a great deal of relevancy as an AFL footballer. I like to be self-deprecating as well. So those people are saying, no, you're a good coach. I know that. But in saying that, once you get out, you very quickly realised that football is a circle about this big. And right now you're in it. And even though you're doing this ball magnet stuff, which is great, you're still in the football bubble. And it's not until you are taken out of that bubble that you realise life is a lot fucking bigger than footy. And so as soon as you realise that, it's actually way easier out here in the real world. The harder you work, the more you get rewarded. So if you're willing to work hard, back yourself in, put yourself out there, take opportunities, all that stuff that you learn as a footballer, but you can only impact it in the football world when you're a footballer. Once you're out, if you translate the things that you do as a footballer into the real world, it's pretty easy. I've actually had a couple of people tell me that. And it's not pretty easy. It's hard. It's bloody hard work. But the hard work, you get rewarded for it. As a footballer, and you're probably a little bit less dropped than I was. I was the most dropped player in the history of the West Coast Eagles Football Club. But I found sometimes the harder I worked, I didn't get rewarded. Whereas potentially once you're out, yes, you're not on the TV every weekend, But that's footy. Footy's footy on the weekend, even though right now to you it's big, and I know you have some understanding it's not. It's the world's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? I don't know.
Thanks.
I don't know.
Advice.
That was a bit deep, wasn't it? Usually,
That was good.
It's my podcast. I ask the questions.
Yeah.
Now, in saying that, I am done asking you questions, mate. Have you had fun?
I've loved it. Thank you.
We're not done yet. Social media.
It's part one.
Yeah, no. Social
Three
media,
parts.
not social media, social media, where we get the people to ask you the questions. You've been very generous with your time so far, mate. Just a couple more from the people, for Tom Mitchell. Happy?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Did you join the Pies due to the relationships you built during nights out at the Osborne?
That's from Norman the Pawn Dorman, which is the guy's name.
Yeah, well, so a good friend of mine, Simon Lennox, he owns the Osborne. He's a good man, and it wasn't uncommon to see, the Dacosses and these kind of boys there. So it was actually good. Like before I got to Collingwood, I did know Darcy Cameron through Sydney connections. I knew Tay Adams as well, the Dacos boys. Darcy Moore was a Kerry boy, so there was connections everywhere. And so I knew Jack Inman a little bit. There was kind of connections everywhere, so I did feel like I'd met a lot of the boys before getting to Collingwood.
I think he's the most connected man in the AFL. Now, Normal.Mitch asks, when am I meant to be asking these?
When the boots are up at the end of your career,
I've got to be carried away.
you've got some options of who you can support. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Is it who
you
AFL team?
AFL team, yeah. I mean, you got Carlton, Sydney.
Yeah, I would say Collingwood.
All right.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah.
That's a smart answer.
I never thought I'd say that as a kid.
He's employed by them, right?
It'd be Collingwood, yeah.
Bailey Berry, 16.
Will we see you wearing a Collingwood sleeve?
Nah.
No? Clean?
I'm not a tattoo man. No tattoos on my body.
A few tattoos floating around at the footy club, though, isn't
There's
there?
a few. Yeah, I'm trying to count how many sleeves we'd have all together. We'd have a couple.
What about long sleeve Guernseys?
I wouldn't wear one.
No?
Nah.
Never worn one?
No. Some of the guys...
Do you feel like when you see someone wearing them, your like level of respect drops for them?
Nah,
Or
not
gets
really.
higher?
I think certain guys can pull it off.
Right.
Certain guys can pull it off. Bobby Hill can pull it off. Pendle's actually had one in his locker before the game against
He's never
West
worn
Coast.
one,
He's
has
never worn one. But it was hanging up. I was like, you're not wearing that? He's like, no.
What was
But
it?
we've all got the option.
Are you telling me that Scott Pendlebury is a chance to be a long sleeve jumper?
He
wearer?
won't. He won't.
You've all got the option.
Well, yeah, we've all got a long sleeve jumper. That's
at your other footy clubs. Has that been the case?
it's normally been you got to request it
That's
at
right.
the start of the year, but
Well, they weren't allowed at Hawks, right? At Hawthorn?
yeah, apparently, but I think guys still didn't they? I don't know.
I never got to wear one at West Coast. I'm still livid.
I find you get too hot. I've done it at training before.
Billy's _adventures.
Who was your biggest mentor in the first few years at the Swans?
I would say Goodsy and Jude Bolton.
Boxy _Boxall.
What's the best kick you've ever done for goal or in a play? The one you look back on and go, shit, yeah, that was a good kick.
One
such a rogue
particular
question.
kick.
Bloke's had 50
One
touches
kick.
in the game, mate.
God, that's tough.
What about this one? What about your first goal for Collingwood? I just watched it before. You just parked in the forward line by yourself and you snagged one.
Yeah.
A lot of carry on with that as well.
Yeah, good carry on. Yeah.
Great.
I started at half forward. I think Tay Adams, we'd done a swap. He went into the centre bounce, kicked it over the top to me, and I think it was our first goal for the game. So it was, it's pretty cool when the boys get around you like that. We had 3 first goal kickers that night. Bobby Hill, Dan McStay, myself. So Darcy Moore was saying he did 3 long 150-metre strides from fullback to get to all of them.
That's good.
Good GPS numbers.
Big _Levi _Casbolt. It's Levi.
Are you aware you carried everyone's fantasy team for the last 6 years?
Yeah, fantasy community would like to thank you.
No worries. No. I would have been aware in my early days, but wasn't aware of that.
Lloyd Merritt 4. That's a deep question.
Would you do anything differently or have liked to have been a one-club player?
Nah. I'm pretty happy with the journey I've been on. Going to Hawthorn was awesome and going to Collingwood's been awesome. I wouldn't change it. What was the first part of that question?
Anything you'd do differently?
Anything I'd do differently? I would, easier said than done. I would have tried, my first part of my career, would have tried to enjoy it more or not be so rigid.
Guy Prentice.
Are they practicing new techniques to take advantage of the new sling tackle ruling? Jay Revolt said as much the other night on Fox Footy.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's something our tackle coach is Neville Jetta, and there's certain things that we're working on. We do like small breakdowns because it could cost you a week if you tackle the wrong way now. So it's important. There was a tackle on the weekend. Not sure if you saw Bo McCreary had an Eagles player about to sling him in the air. It was
exceptional on the boundary.
He almost let go. Like, I don't know. We're not learning to do that, but I thought it was clearly in his head because he did follow through with it.
He placed him on the ground.
He placed him, yeah. He laid him.
It was great,
little
mate.
Pillow down for him.
I mean, some of these things that are happening in the AFL at the moment, do you think about that? Is the game still too quick? You're not thinking about these things, are you?
Yeah, it happens quick. Trying to think if I've been in any situations like that. Yeah, there's been a couple of situations where things have happened real quick. But, I guess you try and train and program your body as much as you can so that instinctively you do the right thing, but sometimes you're going to get it wrong.
Mate, it's been a pleasure. That's us done and dusted. A big thank you to you. Thank you, Tommy Mitchell. A big thank you to our sponsors, Swimply, Whippersnapper Whisky, Margaret River Roasting Co., BlueBet, Shelter Brewing Co., Leadable Cameras, of course, Fleet Network, driving BackChat in 2023. We're going to get you to hang around for one more story, mate, for our VIPs, our patrons. If you want to join that side of things, backchatpodcast.com.au. I don't know what, but we're going to have to get something going with ball magnets. I don't know what I can give some advice on, but I want to Scully's head on that somehow. Mate, we appreciate it. Thank you.